to license it.
Meep, meep.
Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1 to 55 scale Siku Mercedes-Benz Unimog snowplow. This one is pretty plain Jane, with basically a two-color paint scheme that is terribly chipped. Looks like it's been chewed by the dog, and it's badly lacking in details. So I'm going to strip it down to bare metal and build it back up with some fresh paint and some interesting add-ons using some new technology that I've just acquired, so don't skip too far ahead. My next 4 builds in a row are all part of build-offs, and you can see the themes and the dates, and I encourage you to tune in, come back regularly and often, and I'm going to put links in the description for all of these builds and builders so you can check out their channels and see what they're doing. It's a very interesting worldwide online hobby community. I'm very glad to be a part of it. I just got started back in March of 2020 in this hobby, and with my YouTube channel it's been growing steadily, and I'm thankful to each one of you. And I've got many subscribers that have been with me from the beginning. And if you're brand new to the channel and watching this one, and you're enjoying the content, I invite you to give it a thumbs up and leave your respectful comments below. I promise to get back to you. I'm always interested to hear, especially about where you're watching from. You can become a new subscriber just by pressing the subscribe button in the bottom right corner of your screen. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you anything, and you can hit the notification bell, and that way you won't miss a single one of my regularly updated videos. I was born and raised in Canada, and even though I've had a very interesting job that has taken me around the world, I've lived in 7 different countries. These days I find myself living and working in Switzerland. I've gone from one snow country to another. Winter is my favorite season, and this snowplow project is my homage to the men and women who day and night faithfully keep our highways, city streets, side roads, and driveways clear. Following the regular paint stripping procedure, I find in this case I had to do a little bit of picking with my dental instruments, and that's followed by some wire wheel Dremel attachment. And I go over the whole bare metal surface, and this serves 2 purposes. It's going to remove whatever residual paint is left after the stripping and the picking, and as you can see, it just takes away oxidation. Little scratches and scuffs disappear, and it adds a pretty good luster to the whole casting body. Before the finest details are lost to paint and primer, you can see a close-up of the front grille, a license plate, and on the plastic body, it's a Unimog U1700. For those that are interested in such details, that's what I use when I do some Google research on each one of these cars. Canada has 38,021 kilometers of highway. That's 23,625 miles. The system includes, but is not limited to, the Trans-Canada Highway and secondary roadways designated under one of 3 classes: core routes, feeder routes, and northern and remote routes. You do the math on how much snow removal that is every year. St. John's, Newfoundland is the snowiest city in Canada with 335 centimeters or 131.9 inches per year. Winter in Canada can start in October and go until May. That's why we play hockey. And you can imagine the Herculean task it is to keep major cities like Toronto and Montreal clear of snow for that length of time. I finished all of the bare metal detail and degreasing of the casting body and the undercarriage part, and it's into the spray booth for some Tamiya fine surface primer. And I have mixed up my own orange color today to try to closely match the original, and to my horror, the first shot out of the airbrush looked like bright yellow. And I thought, I'm going to have to turn this into some kind of Unimog taxi. But after I applied a second layer and now the wet coat, you can see a very handsome orange color, which is exactly what I was after. And the same is applied to the undercarriage and the large plow in the front. These are real pictures, and that's a lot of snow. I make my own water slide decals for my builds, and in this case I am converting this German-made Siku snowplow into a Canadian highway snowplow. This is the governmental logo for my home country, and eagle eyes will spot a tiny silver dot that I applied to the hood just before this decal, and that's simply so that the white background on this minuscule Canadian flag that's part of the logo will show up instead of being the background orange. It's the little details that make the difference. Some decal set goes on there. And on the back, not part of the original, I have decided to put a caution pattern on the tailgate. And this part of the casting is quite ridged, and so I use the decal set again, and this helps it conform to the contours of the casting. Here's where I think things get exciting in Season 2 on my channel. I've recently bought a 3D resin printer. Mine is an Elegoo Mars model, and although I'm a complete novice at this, the learning curve is not nearly as terrible as I thought it might be. There are all kinds of designs that you can download ready-made on the net, and I just print them out, and I'm having a great time in these early few weeks of playing around with it. I'm going to take some time on doing exterior details now, and the Tamiya Clear Orange is what I apply for the front side indicators, and Tamiya Clear Red goes over top of some pre-chromed taillights to give it a pretty natural look. I'm trying to highlight some of those details on the front grille and the bumper. I've mixed up my own blue-gray paint, and I'm putting some details on my first ever 3D printed parts. You saw some oil drums. Here are a couple of jerry cans. They're so small. And I'm going to put these in the back of the bed of this truck, which lends itself very well to someone who's having fun with his first couple of printed parts. And although it looks bright red at this point, I'm going to weather some of these printed parts so that they look a little more winter worn after lots of Canadian highway snow plowing. This is a large LPG gas tank that I'll put in the back. And I made some concrete road barriers, scaled them down to size because you never know when you have to block off an impassable route. So these are some of the stock items that most of our snowplows have. And another strip of caution tape goes onto those with a water slide decal. And don't lose hope, not everything is going to be 3D printed. I'm still doing some scratch building, and here are a couple of fluorescent orange flags that are standard part of the Canadian snowplow on the front plow for safety. I'll put those on at the very end. Here's what I'm most proud of. On the left is the original Siku wheel, and on the right is my first 3D printed truck tire. Look at the meaty tread on that, and the fine detail on the inner hub. I'm so pleased with that. Now they come out after they're cured in this light gray color. I've decided to start with water-soluble resin. It's a little less toxic smelling, but it gives you the same result. Paint in this hobby is measured in drops. I use my Vallejo paints, some chrome on the inside, and I'm carefully going around the outer area now with some black. And when these are all done, you are just going to smile and say, I had no idea you could do that. At least that's what I thought when I was all finished. Okay, not finished yet, but look how, wow. I'll take out the Citadel Nuln oil, and I'm just going to swish that around on the inside, and it will settle in the recesses and give a 3D depth to that. And the final application just on the tires is some weathering powders, and I'll just lightly dust over those spokes. Enjoy this 30-second old commercial about winter life in Canada. How many times has that happened to me? Here are all the parts laid out after a week's worth of restoration work on the snowplow project. You can see I painted a black blade along the bottom of the plow, and that's either a gas tank or a first aid kit on the side. Details on the fine license printing, and I went over the whole body with the Nuln oil to pick up the shot lines and the details. I didn't want this to look pristine and new. I wanted to look used but not totally weathered or rusted. You saw me add some black wipers to the windshield a moment ago. And after the gray-blue, I did a little weathering on my oil drums because I wanted them to look a little more oily. And I think that's a nice realistic effect. Same treatment goes on the LPG gas tank. That will go right behind the cab. Here are my jerry cans after some little bit of weathering and a chrome filler cap on top. And the concrete barriers came out perfectly from the printer, so I had to nick them up and scratch and scuff them a little bit so they looked well used. They get lifted in and out of the truck and banged into by cars. And look at this, off the printer is the world's smallest traffic cone. Yeah, I printed a couple of them and I lost a few. They were so small. And I have to say, I'm just totally pleased with how my snow tires came out. Here are the old school scratch build flags, And although I printed a couple of tiny side mirrors, they were so fine. The attachment arms were like thread and they just would not hold up. I had to scale them down so much. So I made some side mirrors from a paper clip and shaped some styrene and painted those up. Let's see how it all goes back together. I made my own axles out of piano wire. You should know that these 3D printed tires come out with the axle hole printed dead center. Absolutely astounding, this new technology, and now the possibilities are endless, so I hope to have lots of fun. These screws were pre-fitted at the beginning of the project, so we know they go back in. Look, it's going to be a good runner. Here I will use some super glue so that these printed parts will be permanently affixed to the model. Otherwise, they'll just fall out and get lost, as happened when I was a little boy. There go my oil drums into the back corner. Well, it's fun at this part applying my first printed pieces to this model. The road barriers go in, side by side. There's a place for the tiny pylon. And one jerry can to assist stranded motorists in the midst of a harsh Canadian winter. Your snowplow driver is ready to assist you. I had to put a slight curve on the paper clips just to meet the contour of the plow. And that's an important safety feature. That's not part of the original model, but I think it adds to the realism. And here come my tiny side view mirrors. I just have to hold them in place for about 12 seconds. And once that super glue dries up, it's like cement. One final touch. Back to the Citadel Nuln oil. I wanted to put a little drop in the bed of the truck. And you know what? This is just a little oil spill. Let's have a closer look. Well, I'm very pleased with how this one turned out. Now remember, we're not going for pristine brand new here. I want it to look a little road worn, but it's not been rusted out in the Mojave Desert, so it's not that kind of treatment. But I think you'll agree that the added details and the flags and the cautions and the accessories in the truck bed make this into a nicely upgraded model. Siku did a fine job, but I just wanted to Canadianize this one and fly my flag proudly. Way back in the beginning, it looked pretty rough and chipped. Somebody had fun playing with this one. There's the transformation. Oh, I think it looks fine. And it is ready to tackle the deepest Canadian snowdrifts you can throw at it now. That was a completely fun project for me. As a snow lover and a winter boy, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll give it a thumbs up. This one is not kid-proof, so it's not going to go to the Goodwill store, but it will be a giveaway gift. This one will go to an adult collector friend of mine who is a fellow enthusiast. Come on back again real soon, won't you? It's coffee time.